Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coach Playbook, your home for elite CFL breakdown analysis. Let's continue and talk about teams and their rosters as we prep for the season. Today, we're going to talk about the Toronto Argonauts. Let's open the playbook on the Toronto Argonauts season last year. Before we start, I just wanted to say please subscribe to the page and turn notifications on. It's going to alert you as we post new stuff. Help support the page. If you watch this stuff here, please, a lot of people watch but don't subscribe. Subscribing helps support the page. Okay, Toronto, last year 10-8. Win the Grey Cup. They started out 3-3. They were 3-3 in the next 6, and they finished 4-2 as Chad Kelly got healthy and played. They beat Ottawa 58-38 in their first round playoffs, a bunch of big plays in that game. Then they beat Montreal 30-28. Defense came up big in that, creating takeaways, a bunch of takeaways in scoring position for Montreal. And Winnipeg, they beat them 41-24. So 58-30 and 41 in the playoffs versus good defenses. So outstanding job by the Argonauts and deserving to win. 7-2 home record, 3-6 on the road, and they did really good versus the West. They were 7-3 versus West, but only 3-5 against the East. So those are a couple of thoughts of their season last year. So let's start with offensively. First place in points scored per game, which is a pretty amazing stat because of how many times the Argos had to play multiple quarterbacks, whether it was Nick Arbuckle, Chad Kelly, or Cameron Dukes. So you had multiple guys playing, and you got to have different game plans. That's been something I've been through before. But to still be able to run the football early in the season like they did and put points on the board was excellent. You saw multiple quarterbacks getting starts, and they were still putting points on the board. They found different ways to win games with Cameron Dukes as their quarterback. And, you know, an interesting stat offensively, they're very much down on deep ball passing last year. 7th and 8th in 20-plus passes. Big 30-plus pass plays are 7th in the CFL because obviously losing Chad Kelly for a big part of the season. And they really didn't try to take shots downfield, but they still were able to put points on the board. Defensively, you know, they stopped the run second best in the Canadian Football League. You know, the front four, they have talented front four. They lost a lot of those guys, but second in the CFL with 85 yards. They gave up a lot of big plays. Most in the Canadian Football League. What's a big play? 30-plus completion. They gave up the most in the CFL. They gave up a lot of yards, and that's what sometimes this defense likes to give up yardage, but where they really make plays is they were first in the Canadian Football League in sacks, 48 sacks. And then they were second in the Canadian Football League in takeaways with, I believe, was it 48 takeaways? No, the Toronto Argonauts had 39 takeaways and they had 48 sacks. Now, defensively, they've lost a lot of football players. So they lost, once again, a big piece of that defense. So how are they going to be able to handle what goes on with all those changes? So I'm going to start on that. Some of the coaching big points, I think, first and foremost, the roster and coaching change. So continually losing people. You know, once again, for Ryan Dimwitty, can he bring this new crew of players together so they can play together, form a team, and then win games early? Because that's what you have to do to win first place or put yourself in a position to win first place. You got to win games early when some other teams may not be ready. So that's going to be interesting, bringing that team together in camp. I thought that was going to be an issue last year, and they fought through it without their quarterback. Now, the next point is they got to bring back the deep ball. And you saw it a little bit in the playoffs, the win against Ottawa. Chad Kelly had a couple of deep shot throws. He really, in his first year as a full-time starter, I thought every time I thought he was just going to be a game manager, they ran the football with him. They gave him some throws. But then when he hauled off and took shots downfield, he struck and he made throws. So that's what he likes to do. He's looking for the deep ball when he gets an opportunity, when he has time in the pocket. They got to get that back. They didn't have that last year. They had it obviously in the playoffs. But for 18 games of the course of the season, I expect the deep ball to come back. That's an interesting thing for me. we already talked about. They got to be better than the East. 3-5 versus the East last year. And here's special teams is great, I think, on this team. Field goals made, second in the CFL. Net punt average, second in the CFL. Punts inside the 10, first in the CFL, 8 times. Punt return average, second in the CFL. Kickoff return TDs, okay, fourth. Combined yards, second. Janarian Grant, a dangerous punt return, kick returner. I think Mickey Donovan, special teams coordinator, and his crew do an excellent job of giving that team opportunities to win football games. That's a great story about the stats. And again, I'm going to repeat again. This team led the CFL in scoring with multiple quarterbacks starting. Very difficult to do. Like in 2019, when I was the coordinator of the Bombers, I think we were second in scoring, and we had 3 different quarterbacks playing all season. It's really tough to manage all those different ways of calling games, but I thought Ryan Dimwitty and his staff did a good job. So roster story. Here's my couple of big points. DeMonte Coxie is re-signed. That's a big target for Chad Kelly. Get his deep ball game going. Big dude. In 2023, they had 35 30-plus completions, second best in the CFL. They had 35 last year. They had 21, tied for 8th. So they got to bring back some of those great throws that they can do downfield. I think that's going to happen. Lights went out here a little bit. It's getting a little darker here, so what's going on? Who's going to play tackle? Dijon Allen traded to BC for Ryder Varga and a second-round pick. I think that's going to be interesting going through training camp, who's going to be the starter there. And Brian Cox Jr. and Anthony Lanier second come over into the organization to kind of, fix the losses of Seresna and Brinkman, some of those guys. So can those guys step up and be defensive line, really help rush the passer as well as they did last year? Again, remember, they were the first sacking team in the CFL. A lot of change to the Argos. We said this 1 year ago today, and they still won the Grey Cup. So looking forward to seeing what the Argos do this year.